everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Scorebook Stories. I'm Alec. What an absolutely wild trade deadline we had. The Twins had a fire sale. The Yankees tried to fix their defense and their bullpen. The Phillies and Mets are doing everything they can to win the AL East. Padres and Mariners are both definitely aiming to take first place in their division. And the Pirates kind of just had their typical mid-year prospect collection. We're going to talk about all of that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the prospects that got moved around. The Twins, which we're going to dive into a little bit more, added 10 prospects, 6 of them top 30. The Pirates added 9 prospects, 4 of which are top 30 prospects. Nationals added 10, 7 of which are top 30. The Orioles added 15 prospects at the deadline, 6 top 30 prospects. The Diamondbacks added 9, 6 of which are top 30. The Yankees, the Mets, and the Padres were the only clubs in the MLB to trade away 10 plus prospects, and the Yankees traded away 11 of their top 30, Padres 10 of their top 30, and the Mets only 2 of their top 30 prospects. So a lot of these teams were selling and collecting, it seems like, and the Twins were selling everybody. I knew they were going to be sellers at the deadline, but not to this extent. The Minnesota Twins traded away 10 players on their active roster at the deadline. Chris Paddock is at the Tigers, Yohan Duran, and Harrison Bader to the Phillies, Brock Stewart, Alex Call to the Dodgers, Danny Coulombe to the Rangers, Willie Castro to the Cubs, Griffin Jacks to the Rays, Ty France to the Blue Jays, and the biggest one of the day was Carlos Correa to the Astros. It was the only team Correa was going to move his no trade clause for. The Twins are, however, going to be retaining $33 million of the $103.42 million remaining on Carlos Correa's contract. Carlos Correa returning to Houston is a big deal. A lot of people have had mixed feelings about it. I've seen all over online, and I really think that this is a trade that is going to benefit Carlos Correa a lot. It's a big move. Everyone was very surprised, especially with the no trade clause. And I mean, they're really the Twins really aren't getting a lot in return. They're getting Matt McCluskey, a left-handed pitcher, and they're retaining some of the salary for Carlos Correa. So it seems like they just wanted to send Correa back to Houston just because. So with Carlos Correa being a very solid infielder, I am going to expect Carlos Correa to play a lot at third base, especially with Isaac Paredes being out for an extended duration of time, likely the rest of the season. He might make it back in the playoffs, maybe, but I doubt it. I really doubt it. Carlos Correa is going to probably be the third baseman for the Houston Astros and play shortstop here and there throughout the rest of this season. And it's another solid and reliable bat that the Astros can add into their lineup because they just seem to keep finding ways to win. I really don't know how the Astros do it. I really thought they were going to have a real down year compared to what they are currently having, especially. So Astros really stole that trade, and I think they got a very lopsided trade here with Carlos Correa coming back to Houston. The Yankees attempted to rebuild their bullpen and their defense. The Yankees defense has obviously been a major issue as of late. Anthony Volpe, I think, currently leads the MLB in errors, and the pitching out of the bullpen has not been very impressive. A lot of the relievers have been very streaky here and there. They haven't really been consistent as you would expect that bullpen to be. So they tried to solidify these issues, adding Ryan McMahon from Colorado, Med Rosario from Washington, and Jose Caballero from Tampa Bay in the middle of their game to help out on defense. Then they added some reliable arms, arguably, out of the bullpen. Jake Bird from Colorado, David Bednar from Pittsburgh, and Camilo Duvall from San Francisco. I think these are all reliable pitchers. They are significantly better defenders as well that the Yankees added, but that did not show when they all made their Yankees debut in Miami the other night. It was absolutely horrible. Bird gives up a grand slam. Bednar gives up 2 runs, but Bednar has historically pitched horribly down in Miami. I don't know what it is about Miami, but Bednar can't pitch there. He's not good. He has like I forget what it was. I think it was like almost an 8 ERA in 9 innings pitched. Like absolutely horrible. Like he should never be pitching, no matter what team he's on. When that team is in Miami, he should not pitch for them. He don't do it. But I don't know. I still think that this is a win of a deadline for the Yankees. These guys are going to pitch better than what they had for sure. I also think that it's a win for the Yankees because they were able to slightly improve at the deadline, and they did not give up Spencer Jones or George Lombard Jr. Both of those two guys, I think, are very close to untouchable right now for the Yankees. And if they can manage to keep both of them, it's going to be a win for the duration of time. I think that these two are going to be huge stars once they get to New York, as long as they can handle the pressure of that New York media. I mean, we all saw how Anthony Volpe came into the league, won a Gold Glove in 2022, 2023, something like that. And he was the shortstop. Everyone thought he was going to be the guy. This year, he's really struggling defensively. For a guy who is known for his defensive ability, you can't struggle like that. It's not good. It is not a good look for the New York Yankees. George Lombard Jr. is performing pretty well. Spencer Jones is absolutely crushing the ball in AAA. Both of these guys probably could end up being September call-ups for the New York Yankees, just depending on how things look defensively with that team, because right now it's not that good, and it's a problem. 7MM Sports is your hub for all things Seven Mountains Media Sports. You can watch the latest of Sports Talk with Steve Jones episodes. You can find what station you can listen to your favorite Penn State sports team on, and you can even get live social media updates all the time. All of these things are available along with every single show produced by Seven Mountains Sports over at 7mmsports.com. Going to the winners side of things, the Padres and Mariners both are clearly aiming for first place in their divisions. The Padres are going all in, trying to catch the Dodgers in the NL West. They traded away 13 prospects, 10 of which were in the top 30, as we mentioned earlier. Unbelievable amount of prospects out the door, but they did add Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano from Baltimore, Mason Miller from the A's, Sacramento, the A's, whatever, and Freddie Fermin from the Royals. Great additions that are going to add depth at multiple positions, and they brought in a top-tier closer in Mason Miller to pair with Andres Munoz. It's going to be a tough two-headed monster to deal with coming out of that Padres bullpen. The Padres clearly are aiming for a deep playoff run. If they fall short, the amount of prospects that they gave up could potentially be an issue down the road, but I don't think it's going to be a huge one because they still have a lot of their future superstars like Ethan Salas. I don't think it is as big of a problem with the amount of prospects they gave away, strictly because they still have him and they still have a couple other really good top tier guys. The Mariners, on the other hand, they went out and they made some serious moves that were very calculated. It seems like they're really trying to make a push to get into first place and make a deep playoff run as well. Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor are coming to, or they are in Seattle now, from Arizona, and they added Caleb Ferguson for another additional bullpen arm from Pittsburgh. Seattle isn't far out of it, in my opinion. I think these additions were seemingly big-time upgrades to their roster, and the question now just remains, is it going to be enough for them to get into the playoffs again? I think it is. I think that Seattle made these moves very strategically. They didn't really give away a whole lot. They're only 3.5 games out of first right now. And I think by adding Naylor and Suarez to their defense and their offensive abilities, I think it is definitely going to be a huge help for Seattle. I could see Seattle making a really good push, playing very well through August and September, and getting themselves into a playoff spot by winning the AL West. I don't see that being a far-fetched statement. But division where nobody really seems to know who's going to win it is the Phillies and the Mets in the NL East. The Phillies and Mets both were kind of going back and forth, making trades for very similar players. It was almost like watching a tennis match almost. But the Phillies added Yohan Duran, which is a huge help to that bullpen in Philadelphia. Huge, huge help. Duran is a top closer that is going to shut games down for the Phillies, which is something that they have been missing all season long. Even his first appearance in Philadelphia, his entrance to the mound took longer than his time in game to close the game out. It took him longer to get to the mound than to end the game, which is unbelievable. They also added Harrison Bader, who is going to significantly improve their outfield through the form of consistency. Do I think Harrison Bader is that much better than Kepler and Marsh? No, I don't. But I think Harrison Bader is so consistent that watching the Phillies now, what you're going to see out of Harrison Bader every single day. Is he going to have a bad game here and there? Of course, every player does. But he is going to be so much more consistent, and it's going to be noticeable out in the outfield for the Philadelphia Phillies. Now we're likely going to see Kepler and March do a little bit of a rotation to see who's going to be playing in left field for the remainder of the season. Rojas was optioned to AAA earlier this week as well. I think that this is a move that was very necessary for Philadelphia. They needed to shore up their outfield. They needed a bat that was going to be consistent and produce for them. That's what they needed, and that's what they're going to get out of Harrison Bader, in my opinion. The Mets added bullpen help as well with the addition of Tyler Rogers from the Giants, Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals, and Gregory Soto from the Orioles. That is a solid group of pitchers coming to New York. They also added Cedric Mullins from Baltimore, which is going to add another solid and reliable defender to the Mets. This is going to be an absolute battle the rest of the way between the Phillies and the Mets through the end of this season to see who's going to get this top spot in the NL East, because it's going to be a big deal, because whoever ends up winning this division, without a doubt, is going to have a bye. They're not going to have to play in that wild card round. They won't. They're two of the top teams in the entire MLB right now, and I foresee one of these two teams winning the East and getting the number 1 or number 2 seed, playing the winner of a wild card series, which is going to be huge for either one of them, because they have guys that definitely need that rest, and it's going to be a huge help for whoever can manage to get it done. But I'd be locked in to any Phillies or Mets game the rest of the season. If I'm just an overall fan of baseball like I am, I'm going to be watching a whole bunch of Phillies and Mets baseball. Then we get into the Pittsburgh Pirates, who went through their typical mid-year prospect collection. They did sell a lot less than I was expecting them to at the deadline, but they did still collect a good amount of prospects as well. They collected a left-hand pitcher, or collected. That sounds like these guys are trading cards. Let's not say they acquired left-handed pitcher Evan Sissick and first baseman Kalen Moss from Kansas City for Bailey Falter. They acquired shortstop Sammy Staffura, who is now the number 7 ranked prospect in Pittsburgh. And they got Taylor Rogers from the Reds for Key Brian Hayes, but they immediately flipped Taylor Rogers to the Cubs for first base prospect Ivan Breathauer. Then they acquired right-handed pitcher Jeter Martinez from the Mariners for Caleb Wilson. Martinez is now the number 23 organizational prospect for the Pirates. And they sent David Bednar to the Yankees for catcher first baseman Rafael Flores, who is now the Pirates' number 11 prospect, catcher first baseman Edglian Perez, who is the Pirates' now number 15 prospect, and outfielder Brian Sanchez. I think the Pirates have always developed prospects incredibly well. Now, I think their farm system has more top guys that the Pirates fans can definitely be pumped up and excited about. And they went out and got guys that are right there. Like, some of these guys are right on the cusp of making it to the show, like Rafael Flores from the Yankees. He is probably going to be on the opening day roster for the Pirates next season. Like, he's very, very good. He's 24 years old. He's very reliable behind the plate, and he is a pretty solid first baseman as well, who hits the ball pretty darn well. I think that if the Pirates can actually keep these guys and keep them together, bring them all up to the MLB between now and 2027, when most of these guys' ETAs are. I think one of them has an ETA of 2028, but if they can manage to develop them into what they want them to be and get them all to the majors by their ETAs or sooner, the Pirates could be in a very good position to be successful and potentially make it to the playoffs as a wild card team. Their prospect depth is so deep, and there is really no excuse for Pittsburgh anymore to say, hey, we just don't got the guys, because you have the prospects that are 100% going to develop into those guys. As long as they can keep Paul Skeens around for a while until a lot of these prospects make their MLB debuts, they should be a playoff contender. Whether or not they're winning the division, or they're actually going to go win a World Series, that's a bit of a stretch for any team, to be honest, especially when talking about prospects. But the prospects they acquired at the deadline are key players that are going to be successful in the future, without a doubt. Are they going to push them to a World Series championship? I don't know. Nobody knows. That's something you just can't figure out, because winning a World Series is one of the hardest things to do in all of professional sports. Winning a championship in any sport is one of the most difficult things to do in any professional sport, because only one team in every league wins. Like, it's not that easy to predict. But I think if the Pirates can actually, for once, do the right thing and develop these prospects and get them to the majors, they could be a really solid team again. That's all I'm saying. And I think I don't think it's far-fetched to say that these prospects that they've acquired, with a number of the prospects that they have drafted and have been building, like Connor Griffin, like Bubba Chandler, like Tamar Johnson, the Pirates are in a position where they can be competitors and be competitive in the MLB with every team in the NL Central, and frankly, pretty much every team in the National League in the next 3 to 5 years. It is not out of pocket to say that, because of the amount of skill and prospect development that they do. Rant over. But still, I don't anticipate the Pirates really doing much damage throughout the rest of this season. They might DFA a couple guys or sign somebody off waivers. That's probably all they're going to do. Other than that, just keep an eye on the Pittsburgh Pirate prospect system, because they got some studs. And once those studs are ready for MLB play, the Pirates are going to be a fun team to watch. Stay up to date on everything going on in the sports world by heading over to 7 Mountain Sports on Facebook, 7 Mountain Sports on X, on Instagram. We are on all of your favorite platforms, and you do not want to miss out on a single thing going on here at 7 Mountain Sports. Now let's get into the standings. We're going to elaborate a little bit more on the standings now that we are past the trade deadline, talk a little bit about who really has a shot to make the playoffs, how far out some teams are, things like that. So Toronto is still in first place in the American League East at 65-47. Boston is 4 games back at 61-51. New York is 4.5 games back at 60-51. Tampa Bay is 10 games back at 55-57, and Baltimore is 13.5 games out of first place with a record of 51-60. Over in the Central, Detroit is still number 1, 65-47. Absolutely dominating. Cleveland is 8 games behind them at 56 and 54. Then we have the Royals at 55 and 56, 9.5 games out. They're a team that I expect to make a really hard push and try to close that gap and maybe end up in a wild card spot in the American League, but it's going to be tough, especially when we get into the West. But rounding out the Central is Minnesota at 51 and 59, 13 games out. And the White Sox at 42 and 69, 22.5 games out of first place. Over in the West, Houston has the lead at 62 and 59. Seattle is 3.5 games back, 59 and 53. Texas is 4.5 games back, 58 and 54. The Angels are 9 games out of first place, which is surprising. Very, very surprising for me. They are 53 and 58. The A's are 14 games out. They're probably done for the year. They're just going to continue to try to develop some of these young guys into solid all-around MLB ball players. They're 49 and 64. Over in the National League, the Mets have the first place spot right now in the East, or as of close of games yesterday or Saturday, as I'm recording this, the 2nd of August. The Mets are 63 and 48. The Phillies are 62 and 48. So they're half a game back. 8 games back is Miami at 54 and 55. 16 games out of first place is the Braves at 46 and 63. Washington's 18.5 games out of first at 44 and 66. When we get over to the NL Central, Milwaukee is at the number 1 spot. They are 66 and 44. The Cubs dropped the 2 games back at 64 and 46. The Reds are 8.5 out at 58 and 53. The Cardinals are 11 games back at 55 and 65. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are 19.5 games out of first place at 47 and 64. The Dodgers are dominating the West at 64 and 47. Padres right behind them, 3 games out of first place at 61 and 50. I expect that to be a very close gap by the end of the season. Giants are 9 games back. They're probably going to drop off here going forward at 55 and 56. The Diamondbacks are 12 games back. They also are probably going to continue to lose a little bit more now that they've lost Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, along with some other key players on that roster. They are 52 and 59. And the Rockies are 30 and 80, 33.5 games out of first place. Not a great year for Colorado. Sorry about it. I don't know what to tell you. You got a couple decent prospects through some trades at the deadline, but yikes, it's going to be a rough one. Actually, we're going to talk a little bit about a solid prospect for Colorado coming up in a little bit. But when we look at our statistical leaders, Aaron Judge is still leading at his batting average with a 3.42 batting average. Jeremy Payne is right behind him, hitting 3.26. Jonathan Aranda's hitting 3.16. Jacob Wilson is hitting 3.12. Freddie Freeman, is hitting 3.02. Hits, Bo Bichette has the lead at 137. Manny Machado and Aaron Judge both have 129. Trey Turner has 128. Luis Arias has 127. Home runs, Cal Raleigh still in the lead with 42. Shohei Ohtani has 38. Aaron Judge is 37. Kyle Schwarber also has 37. And Eugenio Suarez is 36. When it comes to pitchers, Paul Skeens leads the way in ERA with a 2.02. Unreal. Tarek Skubal has a 2.18. Garrett Crochet has a 2.23. Matt Boyd goes into the top 5 with a 2.34. And Hunter Brown has a 2.47. Pitching for strikeouts, Zach Wheeler has the top spot at 182. Tarek Skubal's right behind him with 181. Garrett Crochet has 175. Carlos Rodon has 156. Logan Webb has 155. Saves, Robert Suarez still in the number 1 spot with 31. Carlos Estevez and Josh Hader both have 28. Jeff Hoffman has 26. And Andres Munoz has 24. When we look at the pitcher and player of the week, the storied pitchers and players of the week, I'm giving the pitcher of the week award to Brady Singer. Brady Singer for the Cincinnati Reds had an incredible week. 2 games started, 2 wins, 13.1 innings pitched, 49 total batters faced, and that left him at a 0.68 ERA. He only allowed 1 earned run, 7 hits, 2 walks, and 18 Ks. Singer dominated. He managed to go 7 1/3 against Tampa Bay, only allowing 1 run, which happened to be a solo shot. Followed up that performance with 6 shutout innings against the Braves, where he struck out 10 of the 23 batters faced. Dominating performances all over the place. Great week for Brady Singer. And the storied player of the week goes to Warming Burnell of the Colorado Rockies. This kid lit it up. He lit it up. He played in 6 games last week, hit .520 in 25 at-bats, 13 hits, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 3 home runs, 6 runs, and 8 RBIs. Great week for this guy. The Rockies called him up July 26th, and he's been very reliable in the infield for the Colorado Rockies since he got called up. Burnable was he was the 18th ranked prospect in the Rockies organization in 2024. And I think that he kind of has the potential to be the Rockies full-time shortstop until the Rockies decide to call up Ethan Holiday. I don't know when Ethan Holiday's ETA is right now. I really don't. I would imagine we're still a couple years away from seeing Ethan Holiday in the MLB. And there's a lot of speculation around Ethan Holiday moving to third base or even second base. I don't know if that's going to happen. Haven't really seen much about Ethan since the draft. But if that's going to be the case, we could be seeing Warming Burnable and Ethan Holiday dominate an infield together in Colorado. Not saying that's going to happen, but if Burnable can manage to continue this level of production, I think he's got the potential to be the Rockies' next every single day shortstop, without a doubt. And then we get into the games to watch before we head on out of here and go watch some more baseball. Games to watch, all of them. Like, watch as many baseball games this week as you possibly can. This week is all about seeing how these new trade acquisitions are going to perform on their new teams. Obviously, we saw David Bednar and Jake Bird did not really perform well with the New York Yankees in their Yankee debuts. But who's to say that things don't turn around in their next series and they're absolutely lights out? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I think this entire week, maybe even into next week, is really just about watching these players that were recently traded adjust to a new team, a new role, a new spot in the lineup. That's what we're going to be watching a lot of this week. And I think it's absolutely incredible. It's going to be so much fun to watch. So make sure that you are watching as much baseball as you possibly can all week long until we meet again right here on the 7 Mountain Sports YouTube channel and Scorebook Stories. Get out of here. I will see you all again, or you will see me all again next week right here on the 7 Mountain Sports YouTube channel. Or if you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform, make sure that you are following along, subscribed, rated, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. And make sure you are following along on all 7 Mountain Sports social media channels: TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook. Give us a follow to stay up to date with everything that we have to offer, and you never miss a single update going on in the sports world.